This is the Impressions Exchange Podcast. Where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
Hi, I'm Denise Gustavson, Editorial Director for Printing United Alliance, and the guest host for this special Printing Impressions podcast series in celebration of Women's History Month, highlighting the women in the printing industry. During this series, I'll have the opportunity to talk with women from all segments of the industry about their experiences and their journey as a woman in the printing industry. So today, it's my pleasure to welcome Kristen Hampton. She's Director of Print and Mail Management for the Michigan Department of Technology, Management and Budget for the state of Michigan. That's a really long title, but hopefully I got it all right. So welcome, Kristen.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So I guess to get us started, can you tell me a little bit about what you do for the state of Michigan?
Absolutely. We are the state implant, print, and mail facility. So we do a little bit of everything. We do have a full digital shop as well as a full mail room. We do any number of things. We do books, we do training materials, we do a lot of transactional print checks and correspondence for different programs that we have a print to post feature that we receive the files overnight. They're printed on our third shift and they go into the mail stream the same day. So we do a lot of different things. Very, very unique.
Very, very cool. Certainly keeps you busy.
Absolutely.
So how long have you been in the printing industry or with the state of Michigan? I almost said Wisconsin for some reason, but it's not Wisconsin, it's Michigan.
Michigan. Actually, I've been with the state of Michigan for 28 years.
Oh, awesome.
I've been with Print and Graphic Services, Printing Services, Print and Mail Management, lots of different names over the years, those 28 years. I really started out as a temp and was fortunate enough to be hired in full-time doing typesetting. And then I've had 6, 7, 8, 9 different types of roles throughout the years until I've reached the point where they merged the two areas together and made me the director. So
awesome. Typesetting. Wow, that takes us back.
Yes, it does. Yes, it's and some days I'd like to go back to that. Yes, some days you'd like to go back and start over and say, oh, I'll take a less stressful day. Let's just go back there and do my typesetting, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's where I got my start, and it's where my first love is.
So you said you started as a temp. What were you planning to do before that? I mean, was print what you really wanted to do, or how does that all work?
I think I got lucky. I have a degree from Michigan State University in journalism. So I had just graduated and I was looking for some type of position in a journalism field or marketing. And this temp job kind of came up to kind of fill in while I was still looking. And I found I really liked it. I liked the people. I liked the work. And I was fortunate that the person who I was filling in for decided to become a stay-at-home mom and didn't come back to work. And I was able to get that position. So I thought I was going to end up in a totally different field, and didn't work out that way. And I couldn't be happier about it.
Which is great. What was the what really drew you to working within the print industry?
I think it was just the variety and the technology's changed so much from when I first began with making the negatives and making the plates, and so much has changed. But I think being able to watch something from where I started in the typesetting part, to watch it run through the entire process and have a finished piece go out, that I think that there was you could kind of see the entire process and see that finished product and go, wow, that is so cool. And I think it kind of hooked me from the beginning.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, just the creative process and seeing that finished piece at the end, there's a certain pride that's part of it. It's very fulfilling just to be able to see that finished piece at the end, you know, all the work that you put into it.
Absolutely.
So throughout your career, and you have many different positions within the implant, obviously, has there been any one or anything that's really influenced you over the years?
I think every role I've had has provided me with a lot of information to take into my next role. So I started as a typesetter, then I became the supervisor of the typesetters, and so that put me into a management role.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became a printing consultant, and so every role I think gave me the experience and the knowledge, and I liked to learn everything I could. I feel that the more you learn, the more invaluable you are, and so I would take whatever I could get and learn it, and then try and apply it to whatever role or whatever task I was doing. I was very fortunate in many ways that I had really good management,
Mm-hmm.
especially early on, in a primarily male-dominated field. I had a very forward-thinking manager who probably saw more potential in me than I saw in myself, and so he made sure that he helped me along the way and kind of guided me as a mentor, and made sure to push my name around and make sure that other people knew that this is where he thought the future could be. And he told me that when he retired, and I'm like, oh, it seems like a lot of weight on my shoulders, and it really wasn't, because he made it. He really, like I said, saw more potential in me than I probably saw in myself at the time.
That's awesome to have a mentor like that really was looking out for you and willing to invest his time and energy and to really help you along as you were moving through, as you were going through your career.
Absolutely, he 100% would have your back, and he would make sure that he was there, and he'd explain. He taught me things that were well above the level I was at, but so I would have the knowledge, so that if it came to a point where I needed it, that I had that background in the finances of how state government works, and some of the politics, and just some of the things that as a typesetter I wouldn't know about, but as a supervisor or manager I might need to know more about. So he would take the time to show me how that worked and explain it to me. I owe a lot to him.
And he certainly helped you as you progressed, because learning stuff about the politics of working with government and printing
Mm-hmm.
services and all of that. Yeah, you didn't need to know that as a typesetter, but
Oh,
he saw in you the potential to be a leader, to teach you that other things that you would need down the road,
yes. Yep, absolutely.
which is kind of amazing and awesome at the same time. So
He
you're
was an
very
amazing
fortunate.
person. Yes, very much.
I guess a question for you about the implant itself. How large is the implant? And I guess what's your mix currently, male, female? Is it a lot of guys? Is it pretty 50-50?
We have 65 employees.
Okay.
They're split pretty much 35-30, as far as mail and print.
Mm-hmm.
I would say we're still primarily male dominated, but we do have maybe 20% are females.
Okay.
We try and hire whoever is going to fit, but we don't get a lot of women who apply for the jobs more than anything, and that makes it more of a challenge to bring that mix, better balance.
Mm-hmm. And that's the question then, is like, how do we attract more women in? How do we get that word out that this is a great career option?
I think we have to start earlier, and we need to get into the high schools and get into school programs, so that even community college programs, so people can understand what type of jobs are available. Because just because you're a print operation doesn't mean that all you're going to do is push buttons and run paper through printers. I mean, there's so many different jobs and so much opportunity in that type of field. I really think that not everybody wants to go to college, and that it's not a good fit for everybody. And this is a career that you can do without needing college, that we can train you, and there's just a wealth of opportunity, and it's a good job, and it's fun, and you get to see that finished product. I still think, the bottom line, being able to see what you've done is
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
And also, especially because you're an implant with the government, there's always going to be paper. There's always going to be printing. So it's very stable as well in that
Yes.
regard. There's always going to be a need for print in some way, shape, or form.
Yes. Now, years ago, we did we did experience when the economy took a downturn. I think everyone rethought, what are we going to do? State agencies, we printed lots of newsletters and things that when the economy's bad, they don't print. So we had to kind of shift directions as well and say, okay, well, that newsletter now, that dreaded internet's taking another job from us, right? Because they put it all online. But now we're back in a position now where we know that they're printing what they have to print. There's not a lot of fluff being printed anymore. So we feel like it's a very stable situation to be in right now. And you're right, state government's always going to have print. And that's something that kind of a selling point for us to attract people. And, in state government you get good benefits and lots of other little perks that not every organization is able to offer.
Which is good. And honestly, that's what a lot of people are looking for. They're looking for the benefits. Yes, salary is an important piece of it, but what are the other benefits? Work-life balance. Is there other programs or other things they could take advantage of? What are the add-ons that really help it to be the career that people are looking for?
Right. Yeah. And we can offer a lot of those types of items. I mean, you've got just good benefits and good holidays off, and just we have state-of-the-art equipment. We provide training. It's a very safe environment. We try and make it as optimal of a place to work as possible.
And I think one of the things that's sad about how the printing industry is perceived by most people is that it's an old industry. It might be a dirty industry, but like you said, you have state-of-the-art presses. It's not like when we first started in the industry, you're not playing with big open tubs of ink, and it's so different than what it was years ago in terms of cleanliness and safety, as you said as well. It's a whole different story.
Totally different story. We are completely digital now. We don't even have, it used to be you could walk in the building and you'd smell the ink, and now you don't. But we have equipment that runs faster than 25 years ago you would have ever imagined, and we're putting out color prints that are nearly press quality coming off a toner-based machine. So the technology changes, it changes what you do, and yet it's all so much of a, I'm not sure how to say it, but it's just it's a fun experience to go through.
And I think that's not communicated enough, because maybe that's why we don't get also as many women, because they're like, oh, it's, I like, not that women are, vain or anything, but, we get manicures. We don't want to break nails. And, that's a girl thing. But at the same point, I mean, I still remember one owner that I talked to last year. She's like, I get a manicure every week. I have long nails. She goes, I don't worry about that kind of stuff. She goes, because, years ago, yes, that was something I had to worry about. But now, she goes, that's not even a concern. I can do my job however, doesn't matter.
Right. And I think that, that's part of the dynamic that the women in that kind of career. I do think we don't focus enough on what the job really can be and what it is versus you're right, maybe the dispelling some of the myths that we're not in 1975 on those old web presses and different types of equipment that was really dirty. I mean, the job's physical in our shop. I mean, you're moving paper but you're not getting dirty in the old traditional way that people would think. And I think if we started earlier showing people what the job really was and how it works and what they could expect, I think you'd find more people wanting to give it a try.
And realizing, oh, wait, there is something for this that I can do, that I can be part of.
So much opportunity and so many different things to do.
Now, with you as a director, obviously most of your staff is male. Have you had any resistance with leading men? Has there, how do you, and if so, how do you deal with that? Or is it just really a non-starter? It's just, yep, I'm the boss and that's that.
I think early on when I first became a supervisor, I didn't have trouble as much with the other managers, maybe a little bit. When I was made a supervisor initially, it was all men and
Mm-hmm.
me. And they were all a little older, and so they treated me like their daughter.
Yeah.
And sometimes a little dismissive, and sometimes but I can roll with things, and so I would stand my ground when I needed to. But I think is that trying to make that role my own, I think that was probably one of my biggest mistakes, is trying to lead and supervise these men like I was being supervised. And I think if nothing else, I learned over time that I have to be myself, and I'm just going to write people up, or I'm going to raise my voice, or let them know that I'm serious. Didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't who I was. I guess, I kind of want to be my authentic self, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I found that while I still would encounter some resistance from some of the older employees that didn't really know why they had to report to a woman. But I eventually, they came around, and we had a good relationship, and now I have a good relationship with all of them. They don't have any real resistance to what I'm proposing, not because I'm a woman, maybe because they don't like the policy, but not because I'm a woman and they're not, and they're men. So
Yeah. In that case, it's two different things. It's a policy
absolutely,
issue, not a gender issue.
exactly.
And it is interesting too, because like when you said, when you first became a supervisor, you were the one woman among a group of men and a
Yes,
group of older men.
yes.
How important would it have been for you to have a woman in that position before you?
Well, there was a woman in the position before.
Okay.
She was my supervisor. I took her role when she retired,
Okay.
and they didn't treat her the same. And for example, they had parking spots. All the supervisors were supposed to be able to park in these spots, except for her. She didn't get to. She had to park in the regular lot. It's
Little
they
things.
yes, they really were very, very dismissive of her. And I heard the back and forth, well, she's just upset about this, how women are. But at a certain point when she retired, and I came in that role still as the only woman still, I think that they stood my ground on the things that mattered. And I think I garnered their respect, even
Mm-hmm.
though, like I said, they still thought of me as their daughter. and it worked in
Mm-hmm.
that situation.
In some cases, it's not bad, especially if they're willing to teach you what you don't know or help
Right.
you.
Mhm.
But yeah, if they start being dismissive, that's a different story too.
Yes, absolutely.
But it is interesting. There's a lot of stereotypes when it comes to women. You have the working mom, which could be dismissive as well. Oh, she works, she has kids, works, certain hours. She's not really in this. It's kind of like she's not really in this seriously.
Mhm.
And there's also, women can be very, and sometimes maybe it's aggressive or assertive, which can be seen negatively as well. Or as you said, they could be very dismissive. How do you approach that kind of stereotype?
I think that probably the stereotype that I think I most remember as being a real negative, and it bothered me,
Mm-hmm.
was the working mom. I've got three kids, 23, 20, and 12. I had time off was hard to get.
Yeah.
And if the kids were sick, it was a roll of the eyes, and she's always gone. Someone, and at the same time, I don't regret that I had to do these things for my
Mm-hmm.
kids, and I took the time. But I do know that it took me kind of pushing back a little bit. And at one point, I had a manager who he'd never taken a day off for a sick kid in his whole career. His wife was a stay-at-home mom, so
She
he
took,
didn't understand it.
yeah.
And I did have to at some point have the conversation with him that, look, I can't be here, when my 2-year-old has an ear infection and he's got a fever. He can't, I can't be here, and I need you to understand, and I need you to stop complaining about it to everybody else, because that's what he did. Oh, she's never here. Oh, and it's that disrespect. He would never have said the same thing about a male
that had to do it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, that dynamic is something that I remember so clearly, and I'm very conscientious of it now. And I'm people have families, and your family needs to come first. And I'm fully on board. If you've got to go, you've got to go. See you tomorrow. Hope they feel better.
Yeah, I can't leave my 2-year-old home with a fever. I'm sorry, and I'm not going to bring him into the office sitting on my hip either, because that's not going to be beneficial either.
That was just one of the things that I think I experienced, and I thought I could never do that to somebody. Put them in that position. So yeah, always it's been a lot of different things over the years, and lots of different management styles that we all learn from.
How hard was it for you as a mother to balance your responsibilities to the family and your responsibilities to job?
I like to say I did a good job balancing it, and I continue to, but I also think oftentimes I would think that maybe I was fully engaged with my kids doing, whatever it is, going to lacrosse. But, I at the back of my mind, I'm thinking about something going on at work, or I'm sitting at the softball game, and I'm answering emails, and I'm not, in some ways I feel like I did a disservice to my kids, although they're perfectly fine. But
they're well-adjusted, all good. Yeah.
All good, but I do think, that if I had to do it over, I would probably try and, make the balance a little bit closer to 50-50, 60-40 to my kids' benefit.
And it's something that's hard, because rearing children, yes, it's on both parents, but a lot of times it's the female, the woman, that a lot of it falls to, signing off on the permission slips and packing the lunches. And
right. Yeah. It's a lot of things that go into your day before your day even starts.
Yeah.
And you get home, and there's homework, and there's, sports, and there's just everything else that comes with dinner. There's just so much that happens. And I do think that typically it's the woman who takes on that role of responsibility.
Yeah. And then the question is that changing? Is it their partners or husband stepping in more? Is that helping? I don't have any kids, so I can't really speak on that. But I don't know if that's something that's gotten better over the years, or maybe management has been better about some of it as well.
I think it's probably a combination of both.
Okay.
I think that a lot of my employees now who have young children are very engaged, and the kids are sick, it's their turn, they take turns, or we have a lot more flexibility as well since the pandemic, as far as a lot of my employees have the ability to work from home, not the production floor people, but some of my analysts and different things, so if something comes up, they can do that. So I can offer some of that flexibility, but I think that the younger generation that's coming up, I think, is much more engaged in participating in raising their kids than perhaps my husband at the time was.
A lot of it is also like how were they raised? How were your husband, how were they raised? They were raised a certain way, and a lot of time that's just instilled down. Oh, that's how my parents did it. But now, like you said, we are seeing the younger generation take more of an interest and being more a partnership.
Yes, absolutely.
For the family, and taking turns. Oh, it's my turn. That way it's not falling just on one person, which I think is a lot. It's better for everybody across the board.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And that is exactly what I'm seeing. So I think that that's the right thing to happen. So
I agree. So kind of getting to just the industry as a whole, we kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning. What is it, if you could tell anybody one thing about the printing industry that you wish that they would know, what would that be?
I think that I would want people to know that it's a great career, and to always want, I guess, to look at the opportunities that are there. I just don't think that spelled out often enough. and clearly enough for people that there's so many different ways to go in a print operation, in a mail operation, and so much opportunity. I'd like people to be more engaged and learn about this field, because it's never going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be a need for some print, and we're struggling, I think, trying to find people in this industry. And I do think that we need to maybe try and do a little bit better job of recruiting them.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, a lot of print shops are involved with such fantastic marketing programs. And, they print and they work for, especially if you're looking at some of the print for pay, they work with some of the top brands in the industry and some of the fantastic marketing that they do. But we don't necessarily, as an industry, do a lot of promotion on our own.
Right. And I think too that that we have graphic designers, and we have a lot of people. I get lots of inquiries about internships and different things, and it's certainly something that we can do. And I think that part of what they need to learn is that being a graphic designer, they need to learn the piece of the graphic design that goes with the print. And I think that that's part of it. Everyone wants to be a graphic designer, and yet they don't necessarily understand what that means once it leaves their computer and they're done with it. And so I think that we bring people through and we show them the process, and I think they get a better understanding. They're a more well-rounded graphic designer. So I think that, that graphic designers, we need to kind of focus on them as well.
Yeah,
and bring them on.
I agree. Because a graphic designer, they can create a beautiful brochure, and then it leaves their desk, they move on to the next thing. But do they know how the color or the tint of the paper impacts what they've created and the colors that they've created? If it's too yellow or too blue, or how is that going to impact how it looks? Or if there's gloss, or is it matte? Is there spot varnish? Are you doing anything fancy? All of these things impact. Then what light are they going to be looking at it? Is it going to be outside? Is it inside? Is it fluorescent? Is it incandescent? So many different things can go into how a print product looks at the end.
Right.
And then to try to figure out how to train them to understand all of those nuances.
Exactly. That should be part of their training. But I also think it's something that print operations can also assist in helping people to learn that. Once you understand the entire process, you'll never go back. It's just you'll love it, and it just stays with you.
And for those designers, if they know the capabilities of the machines as well, if they know the die cuts and the things that can be done and some of the fancier finishing, they can design with those in mind.
Exactly. Yes.
And they can be more creative, and it could just be more.
Yeah. It just gets better and better the more you know.
Yeah, exactly. So my final question, as we're rolling and kind of finishing up, is what advice would you give to young women entering the printing industry? Knowing what with your 28 years of experience, what would you tell them now?
I would tell them to be flexible, to be patient, to learn absolutely everything they can. Never pass up an opportunity, because I believe that you make yourself invaluable. People see that you're learning, you're engaged, that you want to take that next step, and just never look back. Learn from everything, adapt, and I think that you'll find yourself in a great career.
Kristen, thank you so much for your time today.
You're very welcome.
Really appreciate it, and I really enjoyed our conversation. I think we could probably go on for like an hour and keep talking about stuff, but I know we both don't have that time.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.